Hey, how's it going, everybody? Just out here on my back porch and just got to thinking, within the last 6 months or so, my taste and preferences have kind of changed with knives. And I know a common thing that a lot of people feel, especially guys that really use their knives for woodworking and camp task and all that, is they want a small knife that they can control and really be able to manipulate and carve wood and do those tasks that we like to do. And I feel the same way. I love a smaller knife that I can really do detailed work with and know that it's not going to be so big and cumbersome that it gets in the way more than it helps me. And I've talked to some other people that kind of live in the similar areas, and I just never have gotten around to doing a video on it, I guess. But I wanted to kind of talk about the topic of big knives and really ask the question, are big knives overrated? I know a trend for just a few years back was to have really big knives, a one-tool option and all this stuff. I don't believe in a one-tool option. I think just like a chef will use many different knives in the kitchen, we need to use the right tool for the right job. Larry was one of the guys that told me that analogy. Look at a butcher's block in a kitchen and see how many knives he has in that block. He uses a certain one for every tool, and I feel the same way. But my whole outlook on it is, are big knives overrated in the sense that for what they're intended to be used for? So to give a little quick background, where I am here in Texas, we don't have a lot of straight trees. We don't have big, tall, long saplings like tulip poplar or any of the tall conifers and stuff that make all the perfect ridge poles and stuff for shelter building and tripods and all that. We just don't have it. If we do, they're really big and old, or some of your invasive species like China berry and all of that do grow pretty straight, but we just don't have a lot of that. And we also don't have cold enough winters here that long fires are a necessity. If you bring the right gear here in Texas for a winter, you'll be fine. And I've proven that to myself, and I know that works for me. I've literally gone where I don't need a fire unless I want to cook, and I'm sure it's like that for most people. But I know further north, that comfort of warmth and being able to have a fire and stoke it throughout the night to keep you warm is a necessity for a lot of people. So that led me to thinking about your tools and what kind of tools you use to either create your shelters or create comfort or just those kind of things. And here where I am, we have a lot of scrub brush and a lot of like thick overgrown woods to where it's cumbersome to walk through them. There's thorns and vines and brambles, and everything literally is just reaching out to grab you and snag onto something and to try to cut you in a way. And so carrying big heavy tools like full size saws and big felling axes and all of that, it's just not practical here. I mean, for me at least. This is all just my opinion, but so that led me to start thinking, for the past 3 years or so, 4 years or so, I've gotten more use out of an old Gerber machete that I had than my axe, because I needed something to clear the brush and then something to cut smaller saplings that are straight, and it performed fine. I just kind of made it a point what would happen if I didn't carry my axe with me for the better part of a year, you know, give or take. And I didn't really miss it much. It's great for splitting wood, I guess, and for, you know, getting kindling broken down. But if that's all that it's going to be used for, why not just carry a bigger, heavier blade that I can use to cut lanes in the woods and to help me walk through to a campsite, and then that bigger, heavier blade can also handle batoning. And then on my belt, I have a nice belt knife that's smaller that I'm not going to beat the edge off of it. So that's what this video is about. Are big knives overrated? And I think most people will agree it all just comes down to location, and it all comes down to where you are at what time of the year and all of that. But for me, I've learned that a bigger blade paired with a smaller blade is just perfect for me. So I'm going to share some of the thoughts behind it and show you what here's on the table. All right, so here on the table, I've got quite an array of blades and shapes and designs and all that, and that's not really the point that I wanted to get across, you know, designs and whatever, but I just mainly wanted to kind of show, I guess, the versatility of a bigger blade in my thinking and what I've kind of been playing around with. So this is the axe. This is the only axe that I own. It's an SA Wetterlings. I think it's the hunter's axe or trapper's axe or something. And I really do love this thing. It's awesome when I need an axe. It's perfect for me. It's the perfect length and everything and weight. You know, but like I said, I'm not felling trees, and I'm not having to buck up big logs for a fire to keep warm. This is mainly just something that, you know, 6 to 7 inch, maybe 8 inch diameter trees, if I needed to, I could use it. And then other than that, I can split, you know, firewood or whatever. And that's the axe that I have experience with. I've tried Buddy's bigger axes and stuff, but I don't find it practical where I am to really need anything bigger than this. This is a Tomahawk by Rocky Woodland Forge that I acquired not too long ago, and this is something that I think might bridge the gap for me between an axe and a bigger knife. But I mainly wanted to, you know, it's almost the same length as the axe. I mainly wanted to have this out on the table to give you a size comparison as to what size blade I'm thinking here. So the smallest blade that we have on the table would be equivalent to what I would consider a belt knife that I'm not going to be beating the crap out of to process wood and to treat like I would an axe if I needed an axe. I know it can do it, but this is something I want to keep sharp and use for woodworking and carving and all that. This is a Genesis, and this is what, this or smaller, this is probably the biggest besides the knife that I did, a custom one. But this size knife is, you know, is more than enough of a belt knife for me, and pairing this with a bigger blade, it's just a really practical system for me. I love having those three tools: a bigger blade, a belt knife, and my saw, my Baco saw. And there's really nothing I can't do in my area with that combination. There's really nothing I've come across that I can't make or recreate or whatever with that combination. This is a machete. This is an overland machete, and for me, this is perfect. It's big enough that it can reach out in front of me to where I can clear trails. I can put the lanyard on and know that it's not going to get away from me. So pairing that with a smaller belt knife, you know, and then you throw my Baco saw on top of that, there's not really a lot that I can't do. And I don't think, you know, especially if you're in my area, I don't think that would be something that a lot of us would disagree on. The stigma of the one tool option is kind of what left a bad taste in people's mouths when it comes to big knives. Like even something like this, if you were to pair this up with something this thick with a belt knife, you're not going to hesitate to beat this through wood and to cut it, a sapling down and to baton with this, because you have your sharpened woodworking knife on your hip. I think that whole one tool option mindset that so many people chased after all these years just kind of gave a bad taste for bigger blades, and so everyone wants to go small now and have these small and thin knives, and that's fine. But if you notice, they're pairing them up with an axe. So I don't know, I just think maybe it's a different option to have. Even something like the Matt Graham knife by Condor, I love this knife. I mean, if it was just a little bit longer, which I think now they make a machete version of this knife would be perfect for me to pair up with a Genesis or like my Next Gen or something smaller, and in a saw. I mean, I can clear brush with this. I can cut a sapling down with this. I'm not afraid to baton it. And I know it's not for everybody, and I know there might be some criticism and flack for me doing this. I just want to kind of see what you guys' thoughts are. If you were in an area to where an axe was impractical, this tomahawk, I think is going to be the exception. I haven't gotten to really put it to the use as much as what I want yet. But if you're in an area where carrying the weight of an axe could be compensated by carrying the weight of a machete or a bigger blade and a belt knife, what do you think about that? And have you done it before? Now, I know there's a lot of people that love axes, and don't get me wrong, just because I have only one axe doesn't mean that I haven't wanted more or tried to trade some of this for an axe. Like, believe me, I'd love to have more axes, but I just keep coming back around to something like this, a bigger blade and a smaller blade paired up with the saw. And yeah, there's not a lot that I think that I can't get done with something like that. So I just wanted to kind of have a discussion about big blades, and are they overrated? Are they not? I don't know. I mean, that's all. It all comes down to our preferences, and it all comes down to what works best for you. Works best for you. It may not work best for Joe Bob or me or whoever we're hanging out with, but if it works best for you, there's not a lot that we can argue if you're if you've proven that to yourself. So but I really do, I sincerely do think that the whole one tool option thing just kind of has given a sour taste to a lot of people when it comes to bigger blades. There's some that are just way big and extreme that I do think are just impractical. They're just kind of out there to be, hey, look at me, I've got a sword that I'm going to carry on my hip. But something like, the size of the Matt Graham knife, or, even some of your kukri designs that you could put on the side of your pack and carry your belt knife on your hip, it's very practical to me. It's a very viable option to me. Something I wanted to talk about and think about and throw out there to you and see what you guys think about it and if you've ever used it. So I'm planning on getting out in the woods here soon. If anything, to just kind of go out and swing in the hammock and relax. If I film a video, I'll try to think of something fun to do. But yeah, thanks for joining me today, guys, and hope you have a good one, and I'll see you soon.